Enggak ya? Coba saya tanya. Gimana Pak? Plot thumbnailnya. Enggak ada. Ada di sini. Makanya suka ganti sistem. Enggak ada.
Oh, saya enggak ada di sama sekali.
Ini linknya
yang master terus yang ketiga dari ini dari pemerintah kerja. Jadi sini langsung ya sini ya. Beda itu. Itu iya.
Dia adanya detek kamera doang. Nah ya, kemarin itu bisa ya. Gampang banget kemarin.
Ada Bu Ani udah kamu berarti. Deh, saya yang buka. Oke, mana? Tadi mana kaliannya? Ini mana? Ini terus ini slide-nya. Udah.
Iya.
Dipikir, oh. Wih, ada yang nanya, Bu. Nggak ada. Wah.
Oh, ada di port.
Nggak mau deh.
What's happening?
Udah online ya?
Iya.
Jadi saya kelihatan dia. Itu kenapa live? Yang live-nya banyak banget?
Iya, ngajar.
Iya, ini loh. Mungkin materinya, Bu. Salah di OSDO.
Enggak.
Enggak.
Udah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for coming for our fourth monthly discussions. So for today's discussion, we are really privileged to have uh, just freshly graduated doctor from Belgium, Dr. Trias. Trias. Rahmawati. I know her by Nino usually.
Yeah, it's
Nino.
easier.
So it's a great pleasure to have you here, Dr. Trias, to be in our institute, to our polytechnic now, for the statistics, SAS. So for your information, we have this monthly discussion almost in our second year. So we have usually we share our like new things or our findings or our research things with people with our internal researcher and also lecturer. Because right now we have a schedule. That's why some lecturer are still in their class. So, but they can access later online through YouTube. So I have managed to like save all our discussion today in YouTube, so they can access it. Uh, so I will introduce Dr. just briefly. I'm not really know much more detail. She graduated from a bachelor degree from IPB
2005.
2005. 2005, graduated 2005.
Okay, I'm
So
still
yeah, you're still young, and I'm so quite old then. 2005, I went to Belgium, graduated from bachelor degree on IPB, statistics IPB, and then directly after
no,
2000 and 2010 went to Belgium to study biostatistics, Master of Science in Biostatistics in Belgium, Hazard University, and then continuing doing PhD. Actually, he's working as a research assistant
and consultant.
and consultant for IBISTAT International Biostatistics Interuniversity
Uh,
Biostatistics and Bioinformatics, which is actually an organization kind of institution between Leuven University and also Hazard University in Belgium. And as for you know, maybe it like Hazard University for statistics kind of IPB for here because almost all lecturer like rooted from Hazard, so it's kind of old university, not that old, but the program, the statistics program is quite old and also one of the best statistics program. So for today, we will present uh, a work titled Local Influence Diagnostic for Generalized Linear Mixed Model with Offer Description. So this is really interesting topic, and especially there are a lot of I think new insight for us. So this also I have shared the YouTube link to Forstat, so Anna will can see that, and also on the whole Indonesia can see your presentations. So hopefully your presentation here actually for Indonesian, what is it the audience for more Indonesian wide. Okay, please. Okay, start.
Should I stand?
Yeah. Oh, you can see, just sit here. You have to stand. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then. Yeah. That's the. Mati.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I need to control L. But they cannot see the slide, no?
No. Sure, I don't know. Last time Sophie present, yes, but I don't know why. For now, yeah. But I will share the slide. Is it possible to share?
Yeah, of course. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the invitation and for having me today. Okay. As Mas Tio or Pak Setia mentioned before, I just graduated last week. So this is still yeah, new research in here, but actually this research is, I have been doing this research almost 6 years during my PhD period. So today I would like to present some part of my research regarding to the local influence diagnostic for GLMM. Okay, now. Okay, this is a outline for our presentation today. Introduction, then we will have a small short review on the model frameworks and general theory for the local influence. And then the first part, we will discuss about the local influence diagnostic for GLMM, especially for the count data. And if we still have some time, I do not know whether we will have this second part or not, but let's try. And the second part, we will discuss about the local influence diagnostic for the count data for incomplete cases. Okay, now, as we know that after reformulating and fitting statistical model, we know that a diagnostic of the influential subject is very important step in the data analysis. Why? Because the maximum likelihood in here that we usually use to estimating the parameter is very sensitive to any peculiar subject. That's why if we have such those peculiar subject in our data, we really need to be careful. In simple models such as linear regression model, for the diagnostic of the influential subject, we can directly use the residual analysis in here, leverage or coexistence, or we can call it the global influence. However, if we face more complex models such as mixed model, we can use directly those ordinary least square procedure that I mentioned before, because there are some part of the mixed model that need to be taken into account in the diagnostic tool. That's why we need to apply a different approach in this case. And one of the diagnostic approaches in a complex model is called local influence. It's introduced by Cook. In here, we need to distinguish between the local influence that I mentioned before and the global influence and the local influence. In a global influence, in here we would like to evaluate the effect of the parameter estimate or other characteristic in the model if we delete a subject. But in a local influence, instead of deleting the subject, we putting the weight or the small perturbation in the subject. So then we can, evaluate whether there is a change in the parameter estimate or other characteristic in the model. Okay. This potential model misspecification in data analysis makes the influence because of the minor perturbation need to be investigated. There are a lot of approaches for the perturbation scheme that can be used for the local influence. We can use the perturbation scheme in the covariate, in the response, or the variance covariance matrix. And in here, Lesavere and Verbeke, they use local influence by using the perturbation on the log likelihood contribution for a specific subject. In our research, we follow what Lesavre and Verbeke did in their paper, meaning we are using the perturbation scheme, the log likelihood contribution for a specific subject, but we apply local influence in a different type of model and data type. So we apply in a count, binary, and time to event data. But for our presentation today, we only focus on the count data. And we also apply the local influence for the extension in the combined model. And what is the combined model? We will discuss in the next slide. Okay. In here, we consider three approaches to calculate local influence. The first one is the closed form expression of the marginal likelihood function. And then the second one, we consider to use the integral-based approach of the likelihood, because as we know that not all distribution has the closed form expression of the marginal likelihood function. And then the third one, we apply, we consider to use the purely numerical derivation by using the standard software. And in the end, we derive the interpretable component of the local influence to get more additional information from which sources this influential subject become more influenced compared to the others. Okay, now, this is the motivating case study for this presentation. We using epilepsy data. It is a randomized, double-blind, parallel group multi-center study, and they have 12-week baseline of stabilization period. And after that, after the stabilization period, each subject was administered to different treatment arms, to the new epileptic drug and to the standard therapy. And each subject was followed up until 16 weeks, but some of the patient was followed up to 27 weeks. And the response of interest in here is the number of epileptic seizure experienced during last week. In here, we would like to know whether the new treatment can reduce the number of epileptic seizures. Okay, now in here we can see the individual plot for the response for the number of seizures per week. For the x-axis in here, it is a week, it's a period, and the y-axis in here is the patient ID, and the y-axis is sorting based on the mean of the number of seizures per week, and this color indicating the number of seizures per week. The darker the color, so the higher the number of seizures per week. In here, we can see that some of the patients have the number of seizures per week very high because it's very dark compared to the others. And also, we can see there is some patient that have a missing value that indicate with the gray color in here. Okay. So another plot in terms of the longitudinal pattern, we can see in line with the previous plot, we can see that there are some patients have higher, response compared to the others, but most of the patient, most of the response are in the bottom of the plot. Okay, and then this is the frequency plot for the response. We can see in here that there are a lot of zeros response in here for both placebo and the active treatment. And in here we can also see there is over dispersion in our data. There is indication of the over dispersion as well. Okay, now we will have a short review on the model that we are using for today's presentation. So the GLMM is the basic model for the analysis of the non-Gaussian hierarchical data type. That's the conditional function of the response given the random effect is follows the exponential family with the lambda ij in here is the canonical parameter and epsilon is the scale parameter. With the random effect in here follows normal with the mean zeros and the variance covariant matrix. And the marginal likelihood function can be derived as the following. Okay. Now, as I mentioned before, for today's presentation, we mainly focus on the count data. And the model that we are using in here is the Poisson normal model, the first one. This is the Poisson regression by taking into account the normal random, the normal random effect. Yeah. And then the second one is the Poisson gamma normal model, or we can call it combined model. So this model is introduced by Molenberg and colleagues. They are my supervisor actually. So in here, instead of only using one random effect, they introduce another random effect that take into account the over dispersion. So they are using two random effect in the model. The first one is the normal random effect DI, and the second one is the gamma random effect theta ij. Okay, now we have a short review on the general theory of the local influence. As I mentioned before, this is introduced by Cook. It is a weight case perturbation scheme by using the likelihood displacement that compare the original log likelihood in here with the expression as the following, and also the perturbed log likelihood with the expression as the following. As we can see in here that the weight, actually omega I, is the perturbation of the contribution of the I individual to the log likelihood. In here, we will use the perturbed version of the log likelihood. Okay, a graph of the likelihood displacement and omega contain the essential information of the influential subject. However, it is not possible to evaluate all available omega. That's why Cook proposed to use the sensitivity of the log likelihood in the case with perturbation around omega null by just in order to calculate the local influence. The first one is the standard approach by using the closed form of we already seen before from the function of the local influence, the of delta I. However, and the component of we no longer see infinite that can be bothersome in our calculation. So that's the problem. Okay. Then we derive the in terms of the local influence by using the simplification expression. Local influence produced by Lefebvre and Verbeek as the following. Okay, now this is the application from those Verbeek localization. In here, the means the following with the treatment as well as for the new treatment. With this expression, this conditional function of response, and here let's respond to the highest one here from both treatment arm, from the three detected influential subject. Okay, and then after that we consider to remove those influential subject. So then we can compare the result from the full data set and those influential subjects. And from the result itself, we can see those subjects, only the additive treatment effect in here becomes significant after withdrawing the subject. But for the multiplicative treatment effect for the Poisson normal model, the effect it's still significant for the multiplicative subject. There is no significant effect for well as for the multiplicative. Okay, now let's check for the total local influence plot. After removing those influential calculate local influential subject, they remove it one by one. Okay, here to calculate local influence. So we get the component of the cases as the following expression, and for the incomplete cases in here can be derived as the following. In here we can see that we need to derive the first derivative of the conditional mean of the measurement at the time of the dropout given the history. So in here we need to derive this derivative for both Python model or the combined model here. Okay. Parameter estimate, we can see that there is no additive treatment effect for both model, but for the multiplicative treatment effect, only Poisson or mole that have significant effect for the multiplicative treatment effect, but not with the combined model in here. Okay, now let's check the total influence for both models. Here we can see that the subject number 84 have very dominant influence compared to the others, and the H maps plot the same conclusion. But if we check the local influence regarding the measurement process, we can see the same subject has a dominant influence in here. But if we check for the local influence regarding the drop process, yeah, there are some different subjects have more influence compared to the others. For the normal. Okay, and the position from those influential subject are, I mean, for the additive and the multiplicative treatment effect for there is no significant on the additive treatment effect for both model, but there is significant effect for the multiplicative treatment effect for the post-normal model. But for the okay, but I think the influence of subject, but it's more than that. It have more than aspect. It can explain the nature of perturbations to apply the local influence or another perturbation in another model as well. Thank you.
Okay, 30 more minutes.
No, it's clearly 5
Thank you
minutes.
very much. Any other questions from the audience? Yeah.
The position. Okay. Actually, this is where is it here? The fact that we would like to know. Another effect that we would like to know. Actually, the basic mean structure that we use in here, as you can see from here, they have a different slope and a different intercept for both treatment. This is this is the intercept for the treatment, and this is the slope for the treatment. But for the standard treatment and AD treatment, they have very different. We consider to use a different intercept and slope. So in the end, we can get this additive by using this only. This is the what is there? The differentiate between the slope active group with the slope with the placebo group. And for the multiplicative treatment effect, this is only the ratio between the two. But actually, no. In the model, no. No, this is just additional information that we would like to know. But this is our main focus in here, the additive and the multiplicative, yes. Yes, yes, it's different. We differentiate the intercept and the slope. So can we get this additive and multiplicative treatment effect? But in the model itself, in the main structure itself, we do not include this additive and the multiplicative one because we can calculate independently, yeah, by contrast estimate or something like that in a SAS. This is for, wait a minute. For additive treatment effect, this is not there are no significant effect for additive treatment effect. From this parameter estimate, actually there is a, of course, if we fit the model, we get the value, right? Yeah, the additive and multiplicative. Oh, this is standard deviation, sorry. Sorry, this is not p-value. Sorry. From beginning, I need to explain. Yeah, because there is a, what is it? A rule that 2 times standard deviation, meaning if 2 times standard deviation less than, what is it, the parameter estimate, this is not significant, yeah. Not over dispersion, this is just, what is there, the parameter estimate and standard deviation. Yes, only treatment effect. Covariate. Yeah, actually, it is possible. It's very possible and open because in here, yeah, this is only useful data set that we use in here. Yeah, this is very wide known data set that because our application in the medical research, that's why we use this one. And usually in the medical research, yeah, they only take into account the treatment effect itself because that's the main problem that they would like to know. That's why. But if we would like to add another covariate in in our model, yeah, it's very possible. Yes. Yes, that's also possible. Actually, in here, it's already the time. It's already explained in the model as well. But yeah, in here the time. But actually, yeah, this is the time only to calculate the measurement, right? But the covariate that we are using in here only, yes, in the treatment. Okay. From which the combined model or okay. Actually, the model that we use in here, yeah, we take into account the hierarchical structure for the Poisson normal as well as for the Poisson gamma normal. This is take into account both for hierarchical structure and the over dispersion, right? And in the medical practice, there are must be the data that of course have a hierarchical structure as well as the over dispersion. And maybe yes, I mean there must be some influential subject that can be appear in our data set. That's why we need to use this approach in order to detect those subject in our data. Okay. Okay, as I show in the first part, perhaps we can see in this slide. This is just example actually. The local influence actually not merely detecting influential subject. That's why it have advantages. It have more advantages compared to the other method. For the local influence itself, we can explain the local influence based on their parameter. So then we can see which sources from this influential subject came from. I mean, from the fixed effect or from the random effect or something like that, or from the interpretable component of the local influence. So then we can detect, let's say this influence is this influential subject become more influenced because of their residual, let's say. So there must be why this residual become higher compared to the other subject. So there must be a reason behind it. If it is perhaps they are need more covariate to be applied or something else. But if we can see from this plot, let me back to this plot, we can see that those detected influential subject very what is it? Yeah, have the oscillation pattern compared to the others. So this is the question actually we gain to be asked to the practitioner. Is the subpopulation needed in our data set for this case? Because this influential subject have very, oscillation pattern, and it's very, it's unusual in this case, or it is related to the renew treatment strategy. And one of in our research actually we already discussed to the practitioner why this particular subject have this pattern and become influential, and they said perhaps there is some measurement of their response that cannot be captured. Perhaps because their epilepsy seizure happen when they are sleeping or something like that, or when there are no people around. So then, yeah, it can be happen. Yeah. So perhaps the new treatment strategy can be applied. Perhaps that's the one that can be suggested to the practitioner. Uh, I think we still need both. Perhaps in this case, we just can see those detected in to others data set or model. It can be different. For our second case, let's see. Okay, this is the subject number 84 have a higher influential compared to the other. But let's check their position. Actually, their position is in the bottom of the line, in the bottom of the plot in here. So it is, yeah, it's not merely they have a higher value from beginning. It can be influential, something like that. So it's depend. Underestimate. So it become not significant, something like that. Yeah. Where is my? Perhaps I can show you our result first. Yes. Yeah, from this one. Yeah. Yes. Let's say for this slide, we compare for both Poisson normal and the combined model itself in here. So actually for the parameter estimate itself, we can see that yeah, for the Poisson normal and the Poisson gamma normal model, of course we cannot compare directly both model. What is it? Yeah, head to head, because both model are different. Yes, and we can see in here that, yeah, actually there are some part of this model that captured by the over dispersion in here. And this shows that the over dispersion parameter in here is significant in here. The standard error estimate for the over dispersion parameter, you mean? Yeah, I think that's possible as well. But for in here, we need to compare the same model, I think. Yeah. Ah, okay. Yes, I think without. So comparing this PNR, PGN. Yes, I think possible. Yes. Deflate. Should be deflate, yes. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, okay, thank you so much. Yeah, indeed. Oh, that must be very interesting. Oh, okay. Yes, indeed. Oh, okay, that's nice. Did you met him? Okay. Five and a half. It should be six, but I finished earlier. Yeah. 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 Yes, I still have another consultant project that that need to be done. For the consultant, it's depend. What I have been done this couple years. There are some, or is it company or European institution and another, but most of the client were from pharmaceutical company, something like that. Yes, and the most analysis that we have done, yeah, of course, is related to longitudinal data and the missing model. Still, yes, yes, I think so. Yeah, because that their scheme what they're done. They have the project for each department, and the funding goes to university directly, and those will goes to higher PhD, postdoc, or other researcher. We should, we must. Yeah. I think in the most in the country, yeah, in the developed country, they doing this kind of the collaboration between industry and the university. Yes, thank you. Yes, and one day I will go. Yeah. It's also a pleasure for me. Yes. 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 No, I think it's enough for me. 8 year in Hangzhou is enough. Perhaps I will try another university. Waalaikumsalam.